I told myself I would drink like 2 sips of tea before I started, but I forgot. So let me do that real quick. Hydrate is first priority today. This week. Let's make it this whole week's priority to hydrate. Okay? I don't think I added enough tea leaves this time. My tea is kind of bland. Hold on. I'm coming closer. Okay. Well, I don't remember what I did this weekend. I don't think I did anything this weekend. What did I do this weekend? Hi, Minnie. Hello. How are you? How was your weekend? Because I can't remember mine. You are the bee leader. Welcome in. Congrats on being first. Oh my goodness. My hair. Okay. I showered. That's all I remember doing. And you know, these days that's important to remember. uh, let's see. I don't remember if it was this weekend or last weekend, but we had a seafood boil. Then managed to replicate the oops, my bad. The recipe for this local place that we go to for our seafood boil. It's really good Louisiana spices. And it was nice and spicy. Tasted just like the restaurant. We were like, why are we spending $100 going there when we can make it at home? So yeah, now we have seafood boil at home whenever we want it. We just have to buy the seafood, but Jibus. It's so much, you get so much more too, because if you get it at Costco in bulk, you get so much shrimp. And I love crab legs, like snow crab legs. So get that! And then sausages, as many as you like, because the place that we go to only give you 4. Oh my goodness, the cats have zoomies. They got the zoomies. Let's see, I've been wanting to draw lately too. I've been wanting to make new emotes. But I was like, I don't know if the emotes should be of this look or if they should stay the pink one. And I'm just like, you know, cuz like all of my emotes are pink hair. And this one's brown. Then I also want to like work on not a redesign, but like a update because this apron was like as close as the one that I have at home. That's why I drew it like this. But I was thinking of making it a little bit more special, a little bit more unique. Maybe making the ribbons a little bit more special. But I like it. It's cute, I think. So it passed initial trials. But yeah, I'm gonna see if maybe this week I can get in front of my drawing tablet. It's unplugged. It's just hovering. I have it on like an arm stand thingy on the side of my table, and it's like unplugged because it messes with my stuff. But anyways, are we ready to walk? I don't remember what I was doing last. I think I was in the middle of a delivery. The cats are not fighting, but they're chasing each other. They got the zoomies. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Hope you ate a lot of good food. Got your minimum 30 seconds of daylight and daylight, sunlight, fresh air, exercise. I'm asking for a lot here now. The list is growing. Mad scientist time. Hello. He said 1 + 1 cannot be 4. But when I see into those eyes, what? Wait, is that a song? What's happening? Continue. I see your hips on my hips until there are 2 more. Wait, what? Did it go over my head? I'm so sorry. Is it a song? I'm usually really good at song lyrics. Oh, we're dirty. Did we get... is it a song? I don't know. Hello, how are you? Welcome, welcome. I have cat fur on my lips. Don't you hate it when you put on lip balm and then things get stuck to your to your lips? Okay, so I don't think I need any of these. I have one on the way. We need to go there, but we also need to go to here, I think. BT territory. I'm not scared of mule territory. I'm not scared of mules. I know hips don't lie. I know that's a song. You guys like my parking job? I'm really good at parking. What is that beeping? Can we get out of this? Wow. Oh gosh. Come on. I believe in you. Hey, we did it! Yay! Is there like no... What is this? Literally a bridge made of light. Every week that I start, there's always like ranked event happening now, and I'm just like, huh? So I want to go to the junk dealer because I have a lot of stuff to deliver to this guy. I do think that I should get a truck though, so I'm gonna maybe go to the distribution center first. Is it raining? Why is it raining? But like, why is it raining? What do you mean? Why is it already raining? A little bike that could listen. I'm just impressed that you can hop bikes and trucks. Like, what? There better not be any BTs because I don't know if I'm ready for them. I didn't plan anything. Oh, we're disconnected from the chiral network. Fine. But like, what if we weren't? What if? Man, nobody's building the roads these days. I don't want to go through. This looks like... This doesn't look safe. Very rocky terrain. I'm like crashing into every boulder on the road. I also learned last stream that you can jump off of your bike.
There we go.
I'm so skilled, that's why. You right? I am. I was watching a video before stream of a psychologist saying that your brain believes what you tell it. And I was like, oh, so you can gaslight yourself into having more confidence. So I was like telling myself, you are brave and confident and you're amazing. I didn't know how to hype myself up. I don't know how people do that. Oh my goodness. Surely there is a better way through this. Oh, I got a lot of air that time. The only time gaslighting is acceptable. Agreed. Please, no BTs. Why can't I be down there? Come on. Hop, skip. Hop, skip. Hop, skippity. Jeebus. These bikes take a lot of punishment, huh? Damage? Damage from what? Please don't play music. This looks familiar. I feel like I've fought things here. Oh, but there's no rain. We're good. We're safe. Everything's fine. No longer in danger. I feel like there's other bunkers here that we haven't reached yet. Like the filmmaker one. Oh. What is that? Oh, that's the jump thingy. Is that the road that I built? Me, I say I because I built it. With my own bare hands. What is that? What is that? Oh, it's a rope. Somebody's rope. But why is the end of the rope up here, not down there on the ground?
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID.
How come no one else is building the roads? What do you mean?
All clear.
Yeah, we're gonna take a shower, cause we're dirty. Welcome. Damn, Porter Bridges. Delivery. I'm gonna take a truck to the other place. He has stuff that he wants us to take to the crater, but I don't have any. I mean, I think I have other quests that take me there too.
Looks good as
We
new.
shall see.
My hat's off to you.
I'm kind of scared to go there without like being told to. Because what if like I have to go back? How are you, Miswa? Did I ask already? I forgot. I'm so sorry. I love you. How's your weekend? Wow. Nice. Provided designs for the following. A truck! But long range? That means I can't have stuff in the back, huh? Very productive weekend. That's good. That's great. We're trying to decide. I've been really wanting to go on a hike lately. I want to see something cool. But I don't know where to go. And then when I did go out this weekend, it was like so hot. I did the whole, you know how cats like they take one step out in the snow and then they turn around and go back inside? That was me. I took a step outside, it was hot, I walked back into my house. A firing range. Hold on. I wanna... Is there a different truck? Regular truck. Lovely. Can I afford it? I can. Please make me one truck. We have a truck! Ooh, okay. So we have a lot of grenades. A lot of grenades. A lot of blood bags. We have the speed skeleton, which means we can't really carry it. Oh. Oh, this is the locker. We're not carrying it on us. Got it. The garage. Yay! We can customize it. Hold on. What color? Bright purple? Subcolor. Oh my goodness. Isn't this Joker's colors? Like from Batman? Just pick a random mountain and start heading towards it, right? Barney truck. That's what I was thinking when it was all purple. Man. These colors sure are something. Maybe... Oh god. It's so bright. I mean, we want it to be visible, right? Like... Absolutely atrocious. Let's go. Let's go for it. Lovely.
Stand clear.
Wow, look at it.
Vehicle ready.
Yeah. What is this on my bike? Not my bike. My back. What is that? Oh, metals. Oh. I think I was coming back here to build a road? Right? I'm pretty sure I like wrote down how much metals I needed for that other road. And then completely forgot.
Journey. Have a pleasant journey.
Isn't it amazing? You just play for 3 days straight and then the next time you play, you don't remember what you did. Come on. Blech. Pretty sure the road was like right here. If anything though, I kind of want to build the road in front of the weather station. Cause it's like, does this need 1,000?
Okay.
Hello. You do not need 1,000. Wrong button. Tab. Hold tab. You do not need 1,000. I can give you 200. Needs a lot more ceramics. What needs metals? Man, what needed metals? Why am I carrying it on me? I kind of want to put it in my truck.
Scanning bridges ID. Verifying
Maybe if we go to the end of this road,
weapons protected.
What?
All weapons restrictions lifted.
someone dropped a handgun. What's this? Thanks. Follow this road to the next one, and it'll show what it needs. Yeah. Ooh. Thanks for the speed boost. Oh yeah, this definitely could use my metals. Take it. And my chiral crystals. I don't need it. Rebuild 1,000. As much as you want, 910. Take it all. 191 oh, 700 likes. Nice. That's a lot of likes. Feeding my why are people dropping their weapons? So concerning. I need to drop this off. This bike is about to be destroyed, I think. Man, turning on the bridge is like really hard. I wonder if it improves in the next game. I need to sneeze all of a sudden.
Beginning
Ugh.
scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Decontaminating suit. All clear.
It
Welcome,
looks
Sam Porter Bridges.
It looks so bright. I don't want to say dumb, but it looks so bright. I mean, that's great, because then you won't miss it. Orders for Sam. Film director. I mean, it's close. Sticky guns. This is close. We'll just take it there. On the way to the other one. I think I needed something, but I don't remember. I don't have any ladders or climbing anchors. And I think it's because I dropped it all at that guy's place. Let's make some then, at least. One. And one ladder. And one PCC. I want more of these anti-BT guns just in case. Yeah! More weapons! Never hurt anybody. Are we out of something? Carry it all on my back. Oh. Lovely. Properly optimized.
Order assigned.
It's okay, because we have a truck. Let's go. It really looks like
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant
it looks
journey.
like the doors would open and then Barney and friends would come out.
Safe travels.
Alright, I think we have to go that way. We're gonna go here first. I'm pretty sure I've accidentally gone there too, so this would be perfect.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Can you jump the truck? I don't want to accidentally immediately break it. Can I? Oh, I don't want to do it. I'm scared. Let's see if I can counter the... Did I do it? I did it. The ping was negated. Lovely. Ow. Okay. Okay. Come on. Alright, let's stick to the road. Donut ping me. Ah. Okay. Where is that? What is that? Somebody's bike? They'll just leave their vehicles all over the place. Alright. Am I still going the right way? Yes. Okay. It's that way. I wonder if there's more colors than this. I'm glad Bridges is able to paint their vehicles this bright. Film director. Oh. I may as well take it. It's just right there. I think. Yeah, it's just right there. Get on me back. Whoa! Okay, I forgot I don't have the power legs. So I can't just haul everything. I really want the power legs back.
Let's roll.
Why on earth would you live? Why would you live like this? Oh no, my wheel! My wheel! I'm stuck! I'm stuck! Help! Ah. Oh my god. Barney, I believe in you. Okay, wait. Wait. Why is it so hard to control? Watch me get there and there's like a perfectly acceptable road. This is horrible. I could have just gone on foot. Now I have to get out.
Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. Cargo verified. Thank you.
Hello, film director. Accept me packages, please. I don't know what that meant, but yeah, okay.
Delivering cargo.
Is everybody hydrating? I need to be drinking a lot of water.
What do we have here?
Whoa.
A delivery. For me?
That's a little bit better now. I think I didn't let it
This is
steep
in great
long enough.
shape. Excellent work.
Would you like to join the car? He's just like, okay, thanks, bye. I worked so hard to get here.
The infamous chiral network.
So yes.
I'll agree to a trial run, but just of the network. UCA is a whole other matter.
Of course, of
So
course.
you can connect me, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead then.
Let's see your beautiful face. Here comes the tears. Do they not have antihistamines in this world? Like, taking allergy medicine. It's better than crying all the time. Ugh. So I probably shouldn't miss any, huh? There's stuff over there that I haven't gotten. Maybe somebody built a bridge.
I'll think about joining the UCA at a later date.
No
I have
worries.
something for you. A token of my appreciation.
Swag,
Take
swag, swag, swag.
I insist.
Swag! Oh, we're not wearing anything. Did I even go to sleep? Sam sunglasses. Okay.
So long, Sam Bridges.
Sam Porter Bridges.
Good work. New order available. Please access delivery terminal for further information.
Nice. Oh, just standard. Urgent. I mean, I do have to go back there, but not right now. So okay. So we're gonna go here, grab all our stuff, back here to accept this one, there to drop stuff off, and accept the quest that's there, and then go there. Okay? Okay. We'll accept this. Because we do have to go to the craftsman. What is his name? engineer, whatever his name is. Sure, I can carry it all on my back. Not a problem.
Order assigned.
We'll be back. My bright purple truck. Oh. Aha! A bridge! Thank you.
Safe travels. Weapons restrictions.
Ooh, ceramics. Hold on. I want those ceramics. Loki! Don't just fall over now. Wait, it's a dropped cargo? Can I keep it?
Right on.
We need to go here. I love this bridge. You're gonna get so many. No!
This one's for you.
I rolled forward. I couldn't spam it. Darn. I tried. I really did. It wouldn't let me. It was like, you did enough. One and done. I want to try this. Cold Springs. Why do those look bad? I want to try.
Stretch my legs.
Good morning, Sam.
See. Oh. I guess this is one way to get clean. Oh my goodness. I think I was blocking the booty. There's music playing. Elevated chloride content of the spring. Oh, I got an achievement. So can Sai. Close proximity to salt water, as well as the tar of the nearby crater lake. So its waters are blah 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 blah. I can't read that fast. Nice. Wait, there's rubber duckies. Oh, oh my god. Baby swimming. That's kind of freaky, but
Yeah. Soak it in.
that was freaky, but okay. There's little rubber duckies. Oh wow, okay. And then there's food right there. Sounds like wearing a helmet. Oh, they're both wearing a helmet. Swimming again. Jeez, it has like such a big head. Okay, time to go.
Get warmed up.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Jeebus. Oh, we're all clean now. Yay. Why would we not just like build a base like right here? You know? Oh, we did, but not like that. I meant like an outpost, a delivery. Oh. Jump. Oh no. Don't become one with the junk. Please. Why is driving so difficult? Come on, come on, come on. Hop skip, hop skip.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridge.
You know what?
ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be.
Hey, look, a road.
All clear.
Where the heck?
Sam Porter Bridges.
Okay. That's a lot of trash. Okay. We had stuff here to take. In the private locker. Hold on, wait. I have a delivery. Let's deliver that first. Lost cargo. Can I not keep this? Where does it need to go? I thought, okay. Where do you need to go? Why can't I keep it? I don't want to give it away. Finders keepers. Private locker. Oh gosh. Load onto truck. This is a big delivery. Got it. Okay. Confirm. Are we full? I can't tell. I guess that makes it so that people can't just steal it, huh? Okay. Back to the film director. To get the urgent thing. Oh god, please learn to drive.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Why is driving so hard? No, I'm not going that way. Please. It was a trap, actually. He made it like this so that anyone who comes here has to scrap their car. It's actually mandatory. I don't want to go that way. Okay. This way. Up this stupid hill. Let me go. Okay, back to that guy's place. I kind of want to charge here first. There's a charge tower. Because we're about half. Oh, somebody lost their bike. Okay. It shouldn't be that much. Right? I wish it showed you how much cargo you have and how much more you can fit into the truck. That would be convenient. Nice. I love this bridge. Very useful bridge. Oh, they're part of bridges now. How fragile.
Until departure. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Why don't fragile and bridges just merge? Make delivery? No. Urgent. 60 minutes? I can do it in an hour. Right. I got this. I got this. Oh no. Whoa. Okay. It's fine. I thought I was about to DC. Select. I got this. It's fine. Wait. What about a premium order? Could I make it premium? 10 minutes? I got other places to go though. Nah, we're good. Just a regular order. Heavy load. Can it fit? Shoot. 1,000. It's definitely not gonna fit. Nope. I'll come back another time. Sorry, sir. My, it's not gonna fit in the truck. Honestly, we could put it on the roof.
Safe travels. Weapons restrictions lifted. Beginning scan.
Let me go.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
We kind of stuck close to the mountain. Jeepus, where are we? Where in uh-oh, it's raining. Where in America even has this?
I wonder if anyone's watching.
I wonder too. Alright, we gotta do the anti-scan detection. Maybe I did it too soon. Did I do it? I didn't do it! You're joking. It's fine. We're gonna run away. We're almost out of it already. Was there like multiple? At least it's not raining anymore. Whoa. It's so strange. Like over there, it's like hot enough to have hot springs, and then over here, it's just snowy mountains. I want to go to a snowy mountain. Oh my goodness. Happy September, by the way, guys. What? I felt my mood immediately lighten at the promise of some nice autumn season stuff. It's almost time for some cozy vibes. Was I supposed to come here? I don't recall. What? What? Hello? Terminal? Could I please make my deliveries? I don't have anything to deliver here. Gasp. Gasp. Do I have... nah. I do have to go to the craftsman. I don't know if I can carry much more. No. I don't think I can carry much more. We're just gonna go. We're just gonna go. It's fine. Let's get out of here. And off we go. Surely driving the right way will be faster. Right. We just need to get on the road. Should be easy once we find it. Man. I kind of want to try this jump thing. Please, please, jump. Okay, maybe not. This way.
Okay, there you go, speed demon.
We'll try this on our way back. Right as heck. Yay! Let me go up. I swear, the things I've been doing on this truck. Is it because we got rain on that it looks like this now? Unbelievable. Oh my goodness. Okay, so tomorrow... What day is tomorrow? If tomorrow is the 11th, which it might be. Please, let me get up. Dude. Story. The next part of the story comes out soon. So, Death Stranding might be put on hold
Good morning, Sam.
till I finish story. That's a big one. I want it. Yoink.
Nice.
I'm kind of excited. We kind of left off on a bit of a cliffhanger. We get to see how... Is her name Aristay? Is gonna react.
Safe travel.
Kinda nervy. But I'm very excited for it. Very happy for it. I have been playing a little bit off stream, just enough to keep the base running. Because it's...
Beginning scan.
I don't wanna log in one day and not have a base after everything we built.
Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked until departure. Cargo verified. Thank you.
Whoa! Wait, what was that? There was like a person. Not a person, but like a second hologram. Deliver. Yes. Had a lot to deliver, this guy. Heavy as heck. Should we go back to the other place?
Delivering cargo.
Hi.
It's you. How's it going?
It is me.
Wow. Carrying all this couldn't have been easy.
Give me something good, please. Undamaged. Oh. Cool. Oh, the bot's finished. Expert transporter.
Just so you know, I've
Everybody
put something aside
hydrate.
for you. Maybe you could use it more than me. Go ahead and grab it whenever.
Grab it whenever, and it's right here. Custom hematic grenades. Nice. Ooh. I don't know where to put it. Thanks. I'll use it on my next boss fight.
Seeing you in action gives me hope. Keep it up, Sam.
It's a lot nicer now.
Good work. New order available.
Orders. Oh, deliverables. I don't want to go to the engineer. Actually, I don't want to go to the elder. I can't send this off because it's just eek. I'll send this.
Deploying autonomous.
There's BTs there. Anything for me? I'm gonna just get rid of this lost cargo. You know what? It's fine. It's yours now. I don't need it. Okay. Shall we? How far are we? Kind of far. Film director? Because if we can go back here We can get the stuff that delivers all the way over here. What stuff do we need to deliver? No, that's not for me. Okay. Now what?
Keep it up.
Now what? Do we need to go here? I really want to get the thing. Okay, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back. We're gonna get that big delivery, and then we're gonna take it to the main place. Yep,
Weapons
that was
restrictions
English.
lifted.
Is that a road? What is that? Truck? Where would that lead? There's a road right here. Okay. Onto the filmmaker. Get all the heavy stuff. Was it the filmmaker?
Safe travels.
I had a phone call to quickly silence it. It's alright.
Safe travels.
I'm busy. How much does this need? I can't math that right now. It looks like a lot though. Lunchtime, what are you doing for lunch?
What can't you do?
I'm gonna do... I really want to finish these off. I just don't know where to get ceramics. Tofu kimchi soup. Let's try this jump. I'm so excited. Do you know what you'll be having for lunch? I have chili. I think. Huh.
Have a pleasant journey.
That was cool. Got a lot of airtime, so I know that you can do it on a truck.
Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Decontaminating. Pleasant journey. All clear.
Got here really easily.
Porter bridges.
Sam Porter Bridges. Orders. Yeah. Wait, what? Recover from the... Okay. Okay. Fine. I have bola guns. I know what to do.
The sticky gun is a weapon that launches an adhesive projectile.
Oh wait, it wants me to use
Gun
it?
and projectile are connected by a wire which can be engaged to pull in targets. It's strong, too. Could support up to several dozen kilos. You can use
Okay.
it to secure cargo at a distance.
Ooh.
Right out from under a mule's nose, maybe.
Ooh.
You're a clever guy, so I'm sure you can think up a few other applications. Just comes down to how creative you can get.
Okay.
And just so you know, Sam, you can use the firing range to practice with the sticky gun. It might be prudent to head there and familiarize yourself with it.
All right. Let's go practice. I want to load it onto my tool rack. There's a lot of stuff that I need to practice, I
Order
think.
assigned.
Firing range. I need to go to my room. What's in my room? Maybe the letters? Is that it? Why is the difficulty so high? Okay, I just can't kill people. Right, I can do that. Just throw things. Throw granadas and not kill anybody. Defeat all targets and make your way to the goal. Stun bomb. Oh shoot. Did he die? Okay, so I can't use him more than once. Oh, but I didn't fail. What? Oh, I stunned myself. Get up, Sam Porter Bridges. Oh, I knocked myself out. That's great. Okay. It's a good thing. It's a good thing we're practicing. Yeah. Totally. Pick it up. Ah! What do I do? Oh, please don't stun yourself again. Ah! Don't make me use this on both of us! I will! Can't catch me up here. How do I kill them? Oh, I don't have any more. I swear I picked one up. I don't have any more. Ah! Don't climb up here. This is for me. This is my spot. Wait. There we go. Punch! Oh, he's shielding. Stop it. Oh, it went through the thing. Oh. I'm pretty sure this is killing them. Wouldn't that kill them? Okay, just like double stun bomb them, I guess. Let's use a smoke grenade. Am I supposed to like swap to another weapon? Maybe the strand. Look at it! Ah! Wow, nice. And now he won't see me coming. Ah! For good measure. Oh, that's still the... Ow. Okay, don't walk into those things. I can't see where this is going. Good luck, everybody. I just hope for the best, honestly. Just toss it and hope for the best. I need more. I need more stun bombs. Could definitely have done this faster and better. Don't throw it. Nice. Yeah, missed. I can't see you, but I know you're in there. Yay! Okay, I think I have to go this way. What? What? Through this door? Bruh. That was a rough. Nice. He looks so proud of himself. I'm proud of you too, Sam Porter Bridges. You did amazing. Next. Finish. I don't want to do that again. I could have done it better, but listen, it was hard. Next. Drills. Let's do... This one's BT. This one's just targets. Let's do targets first. And then we'll use the sticky gun. Or then we'll do the BTs and then the sticky gun. I want to know how to get cargo at a distance. Though, like, why would I... There's a range. What? I missed? Bro, please don't move. I can't shoot moving targets, apparently. Need more blood. That's an innocent. Whoa. I'm out. Blood bag. Give me this. Oh wait, there was 2 in my inventory already. Please! What? Okay, can I hold it? And it goes further? I missed! I missed again! Nobody look. Nobody look! What? I'm out. Do this. I got this. What are these now? I can do this. Ah! I didn't miss. I didn't. I hit them all. Did it deduct points? No. Yeah. I didn't hit any blue targets, right? Those ones at the end, I was supposed to get those. Finish. We'll do the BTs first because I'm scared. Because it's scarier. Ah! Gosh darn. I normally love the raid, but not a fan of this. Not a fan of this raid. I really needed to hold her. Was there one right there? Oh. Okay, I need to remember that E is picking things up. Okay, where? I need to hold it more. once they're like swirling and stuff, I can walk towards it. Is there one in here? Can you show yourself? Hello? What? Oh, over there. Okay. I don't know if these guys are just like going easy on me. What was that? What do you mean? Wait. I got caught. No. Bruh. Okay. We got this. Took me a second to equip it, but we got this. I hate that he puts it away sometimes. Like, I'm trying to aim and shoot, but he just puts it away. Okay. Buddy. Get out from behind the door. I think I killed it. It's hard to tell. Did it die? Please. Okay, so there's 3 in the beginning. Mewing, please. Did I hit it? I did. Go around the long way so I can see what's over here. Hello, would you like to come out? Why do you wait? You don't like the snarling. Did I not hit it? I hit you, I swear. Oh boy. I need to swap buttons because this one's low. Why do these only have 8 shots? Stop. Right in the booty. Your fault for not paying attention. I think that's the one that got me. Where? I took it! Freedom! Yay! I don't even have a BB here. Okay, now that that's done. Finish, and then we can do the cargo one? Yeah. Recover the cargo. All right. Does this count? Where's the cargo? Whoa! Put it on my back. That was next in. Am I not supposed to go down? Is the floor lava? Jump, jump, jump. I can't go up. Floor is not lava. Got it. How do I... Okay. There's something... There's a mechanic here that I need to learn into my... Yeah, like how... What? How do I... I caught it? But I don't... What? How do I immediately put it in my bag? Huh? Am I supposed... What? I'm so lost. Hold on. We keep trying. There's like something that pops up, but I can't read it fast enough. It's gone! No! What do you mean? How is this not gonna damage the... How is this not gonna damage the cargo? Okay, is that one? Yes, we go down. You're kidding, the rope only goes down to there. Huh? Where is this thing? Okay, the last one went flying. Okay. These cats are doing like wrestling moves behind me or something, I swear. There's just... Wouldn't this damage the cargo? Sending it flying and hitting the walls and stuff? Huh? I'm so confused. I got an A though. Actually, I haven't been paying attention to the scores that I've been getting. Finish. How about we read some letters? Escape. Let me out. Leave. I want to repair my truck too. Wow, 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 wow. Can I store more than one vehicle at a time? Cannot. You can go. You're not my vehicle. Private room.
Your work is greatly appreciated.
Only good things. We just need a shower, read some mail, and nothing else. Go to sleep, Sam Porter Bridges. Whew, okay. Truck repaired. Lovely. The lights are gonna turn on. Everything is gonna be okay. The lights are gonna turn on.
Morning, Sam. Blood collection complete.
I am so
Thank you
scared
for your
now every
generosity.
single time. Nothing? Nothing? All good. Got it. Whew. Okay, we have 5 mail. Read. The junk dealer. Thanks for the prototype. I heard you delivered the samples we provided. Thanks for that. We really appreciate it. I know it was probably weird for you, me and her being separated and all, and I'm not gonna pretend I wasn't a stupid asshole about it. Anyway, I just wanted to say that we're grateful. I just hope that stuff comes in handy one day. By the way, we've got a few more designs we're working on, so if you'd like the look of that kit, drop by our shelter for a gander. Hopefully things we're working on will prove useful, if not to you, then someone else. More stuff? What did he give? The thing that makes you walk fast, right? The cosplayer. Be sure to use your otter hood. The otter hood! That otter hood I made for you is pretty special. I know because I tested it out myself. By putting it on, you transform into an otter. And I'm not just talking about your appearance. You literally become one with water. Did you notice that I even put a Bridges logo on it for you? That's proof that no one else has done anything like it. I'm so happy that I'm able to support your work. Us humans should strive to live in harmony with nature. We won't survive for long if we're always fighting against it. We need to go with nature's flow, surrender ourselves to the natural rhythms of the world. That's what I think anyway. That's why I got into cosplay. I wanted to lose myself in a character, let the character take over. Some people think it's just an excuse to wear fancy clothes, but they're missing the point. It's an art. The art of transformation. We should all embrace our place in the world. There was a time when I tried to stay apart from it all, but after meeting my beloved, my eyes have been opened. And that's why I've decided I'm going to sign a contract with Bridges and see where that takes me. Cool. So I think it just helps you swim? But like, why would I need to swim? The Wandering MC, have you used your otter hood? No. When I was younger, I was something of a professional host. I travel all over the country and speak at events, meet interesting people, and so on. In my own little way, I was helping to bring America together too. I really believe that. Sure, I was scared of BTs, but had lots of porter friends, so we used to travel together from city to city. They called me the Wandering Host. I remember the first time I was asked to take part in a cosplay event. I didn't really understand the concept at first, but that event opened my eyes. I know he's like a big nerd. Like, he was in The Hobbit? Or is that someone else? Maybe that was someone else. I don't know. But it's something you can't understand unless you've experienced it for yourself. A total transformation into someone or something else. I was an instant convert. I started running my own cosplay events, trying to get everyone to see how amazing it really is. It was one of these events that I met my girl. Her costumes are incredible, on a whole other level. It's just her technique. It's not just her technique either, it's her spirit, her soul. She's transcended to a higher plane. Whatever floats your boat, guys. There's like BTs outside, but if you're having fun cosplaying, who can judge you, right? Anyway, she's the one who made that otter hood. Maybe you've already noticed, but putting that on will pretty much turn you into an otter. I haven't tried. I'm not really close to any water deep enough for that to matter. That's sure to be useful at some point, right? I want to share her passion with the whole world. That's why I persuaded her to hook up to the chiral network and join the UCA. The next time you drop by with my people skills and her design, will get the whole country on the cosplay train before you know it. I mean, he's bringing people together too. So yeah, sure. We used to pack into the theaters. I tried toying with that tablet you brought me, such a flimsy, cheap thing, and yet it was capable of displaying all manner of video and imagery courtesy of my contract with Bridges. I suppose it could be useful in some respects, but the experience is ultimately lacking. I long for the halcyon days when the people would pack themselves into movie theaters When we'd laugh together, cry together, jump and fright together. When cinema was a communal experience. And then came the tyranny of the tablets, which reshaped how media was shot. All dramatic close-ups and cliffhangers designed to draw you into the next installment. Bah! It was a far cry from the golden age of film, from when the silver screen reigned supreme. I tell you, I was born a century too late. I mean... I don't know. I used to enjoy going to the cinema. Not anymore. I like that you can like choose your seats now though, so I can choose the spot furthest away from everyone else. You really are unique, aren't you? Sam Bridges, maybe it's just my imagination, but ever since I signed a contract, I'd swear I've seen you at least half dozen times here or there. Was that your hologram, perhaps? Surely it couldn't have been every time. Not when you came to see me bearing gifts. Nevertheless, it's hard to believe there's only one of you running around. Though it's equally good to believe so many others could resemble you so very much. Is he talking about other players? Could that be? Could that be it? It was me. Just someone else playing as me. Oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? Well, you leave me no choice. Next time you come through, bring that Cupid of yours and make me an official member of the UCA. You're the only one doing that for people, correct? That should prove beyond a shadow, holy heck, shadow of a doubt that you're really you. But he already joined. Breaking the fourth wall, right? That would be cool. I got so many likes. Alright. What is this over here? Did we get new weapons? Oh. Maybe we can color the stuff. Sam sunglasses. I'm really liking the purple. Confirm. Oh shoot. Confirm. With the otter hood too, like, you know. Have we showered? We should shower. Skip, 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 skip. 5 grenades! We needed to shower 5 times. Where's the otter hood? How do you even put it on? What's that? What's that tray? You, what was it, this one? Aw, yeah. Alright, let's go. We'll pick a different color next time. Oh my goodness, what if we get a cutscene with this? Is it new? Oh, it's not new. Skip. We look so cool. Alright, sticky gun, and then we may as well go here. I think it's here. Not sure. Right. Better not steal my vehicle while I'm there.
Have a pleasant journey.
This. Oh my goodness.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
I want them to come for me. Oh, it's that one, actually. Okay. How do I get over there? Do you think we can make it? Or am I getting tricked? So... how do I get out of here? I think, I believed a little too hard. How... oh no! Oh, oh, maybe through here? Someone needs to put up a sign or something, like motorcycles only. Ah, I just had this repaired too. You're joking, yeah? What? I did the scan. Bruh. Fine. Fine. We're gonna fight. And I'm gonna not kill everyone. But believe me, I'm gonna kick your behind. Stop! That might have not been your behind, but I kicked something. Wrong one. Wrong. Oh. Please don't throw anything at me. And fragile smile. Stop. Oh, you're already out. Bop. Wait, I need these things. What? Go to sleep. Go to sleep. These guys had it. I actually need these two. I need your ceramics to build the road. Thank you for your contribution. Oh my goodness, they're just bringing it all to me. Oh, I missed. One more time. So I don't need the smoke grenade. I don't think I need... cargo weight will take more of a toll. What's wrong with my stamina? Bum bum bum. I really need the strength legs thing back. Give me these medals. I need them for the road. Oh my goodness. Okay. I cannot carry as much as I used to. Oh, there's more of them over there. I'm gonna put the medals in the back before I get on. Hello? Come in. Always laugh how like it looks like a light tap when you kick them, but when you punch them it's a full wall up. I mean, getting kicked might hurt more than a... Load onto a truck. Onto a truck. I'm gonna put these also into the truck. Why not? Oh. Onto the main building. That guy has it. Got it. Don't worry, I got one for you. Stop. Yeah, he's gonna bring it straight for me. Go to sleep. Did I get them both? Oh no. Sometimes I think that I did the thing where it makes them sleep immediately, but then I'm wrong. Go to sleep. Yeah, that's right. I need this. Oh. Oh, I got them all. Porters will be able to travel to the area. Nice. Reaching my weight limit. Okay, let's get the truck. Yes, Lottie? She's being cute. Just gotta beat him up, you know? Show him who's boss. Sam Porter Bridges. Here to knock you out. Hello? Let me in. Not like that, but okay. You know, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that is. I think that's a person's thing. I want these. I really need those strength thing. Let me put these in. Because they're heavy. Did I get it all? Why does it feel like I didn't?
Come on, let's roll.
Oh, 6 out of 6. Lovely. These are special alloys. I don't know what I need those for yet, so I'm gonna leave them alone. Special alloys is for the power skeleton. Darn. I wanted one of those. But like, I think I have a level 2. I mean... Ooh. Is that where I'm going? There's so many special alloys. Bruh. Can I carry these? I don't know if we're full or not, but we're not full.
Alright, time to move.
Okay, we're moving. I'm not sure where it wants me to give the sticky guns to. Come on. Lovely. There's like 2 bridges now. I don't think that one was there before. This one was here. That last one was not. I mean, I want credit for these roads.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons decontaminating soon.
Hey,
Clear, Sam. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Sam Porter Bridges. Let me see. Make delivery. Lost cargo. Is this here?
Everything all right, Sam? I gotta hand it to you. Not many guys out there.
Can I skip this? No. It makes him pause.
Well, take care of yourself.
Thanks, buddy.
Good work.
Can I donate? Recycle. special alloys, because I don't know what I need them for yet. I do need these. Those are coming with me. Maybe I can get rid of one bola gun? I'm down to one. It's fine. It's fine, right? We're really low on chiral crystals. I'll give them as much as I can. May as well. The legs! The legs! I forgot about the legs! I don't like her face. Fabricate me. Power skeleton. Oh, I did only have a level 1. Let's go for gold. I'd love a gold skeleton. Immediately put it on. How to put on? Remove cargo and equipment? Uh-huh. And all the stuff I got rid of. You can just go into the private locker. Fine. Oh, I could have just... Whoa, we kind of look crazy. So we're going to... Where are we going? We're going to Lake Knot City. Yeah. Where's this go? Also Lake Knot City. Right. The roads are built, so we can just go. I'm taking the truck. These are all... Yep.
Thank you for your
Lovely.
contribution.
I don't know where the quest is. I don't know who I'm supposed to go to get the next quest. So... Until we find it, I think we're stuck.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
This way. I wonder if the damage to the truck is also counting my... every time I run into something like that. Why have road if cannot drive through, right? Ugh. I built this. Is this the one that's almost ready? Hey! Take my ceramics and metal! Ah, it's so close. It's just ceramics now. I don't remember where there was a lot of ceramics. But now that I have a truck, I'm putting it all in my truck. I wish the roads were named after whoever contributed the most. See? Then it'll be mine. What an odd formation. I really want to know where this is in America, because like, oh, this one was pretty close. No, it's not. Because like, what is this? Whoa, someone's angry. Ingy face. Why do I feel slower now that I'm on the road? I really want to go on a road trip.
Someone's happy.
Actually, my family is asking me if I want to go on a cruise, but the last time I went on a cruise, I was out. Emergency fuel. Who's the engineer? Isn't it you? Craftsman. Who's the engineer? You. I suppose I could.
Keep on keeping on.
Nah. Stop! Don't chase after me, I'm on the road. Is that a bridge somebody is building? Oh, there's rain here. I wonder if, so like, it passes by IRL time? I wonder if people just like sit and let the game pass
Okay, there you go, speed demon.
for the rain to go away. I can't really do that because I'm streaming. Blah. Blah. Also, I found out recently that there is an HBO TV show of Dune. And I was like, since when? That guy has nipples. Looks like I got scanned. It's too bad you guys can't get on this road. Haha. I wonder if there's a way for them to get me off the road. Oh, no more rain. It's nice that the hood comes up even even if I am in a car.
Keep on keeping on.
Like, I'm not gonna get rained on here, but
Beginning
yeah,
Scanning
it's
bridge
nice to
design.
know.
Verifying ID. Welcome to Lake Knot City. Proceed to distribution center.
Can I use these cars now, or are they still locked? Hello, I'm here.
Decontaminating soon. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
What is that? Oh, it's the little robot guys. Hello.
The people
Oh.
down in South Knot City have had to suffer through a lot of terrorist attacks.
Maybe this
lately.
is where I was supposed to be.
They've not been receiving supplies regularly either. No one's
Sorry to hear
starving.
that.
Not yet, but a sense of unease is spreading across the city.
The city that I'm
We
not
need you
allowed to
bring
go
them
in?
as much as you can of whatever you can. Food, oxytocin, the essentials. You'll also be carrying seeds, earthworm and insect protein paste, organic chemicals, and anti-BT weapons laced with your blood. None of which can be sent via a Cairo printer.
Jeebus.
A delivery will remind the citizens they're connected to the rest of the country. It will give them hope. And if you can get them connected to the Cairo network, all the better.
Do you not have any other porters?
Something's been nagging at me, though. Fragile checked in a little while ago, saying that due to some instability with the beach,
Gotta drink, everybody
she was having
hydrate.
trouble making jumps. Until things settle down, she won't be able to help you out. Fragile's at the distro center south of Lake Knot if you want to hear the rest of the story.
I was just
I marked the
there.
location on your map. Be sure to take a look. By the way, Chiral density appears to be increasing across the board. We're currently looking into what kind of impact this might have on Cupid functionality.
No way.
No need for you to worry about all that, though. Just keep on doing what you do best, huh?
Literally just said things are gonna get harder. Smile. Yay. Yay. I can't wait. So this is where I was supposed to go. Lucky me.
Good work, Sam. The weapons you've recovered are something the techs have been calling sticky guns. Anyway, none of this is on you. We should have kept a closer eye on them in the first place.
Okay, I was like, what did I do?
Great. Most of them are accounted for.
Most?
Thanks to you, we've kept the damage to a minimum.
Most? I thought I got all of them. Three, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I got them all. What do you mean most? Sticky gun. Waiting 10 years. Yeah? That might not have been a good one. I'm so sorry. Hello, Holy Ears. How are you? I need to hydrate, guys. I apologize. It wasn't a good one. Auto skip on. Wait! Reverse strike transporter. Yo? A bike with a little thingy in the back you can haul things with? Blue. I'm fine, thank you. How are you? I'm okay. I'm a little bit dehydrated. I've been trying to hydrate, but so far my teacup is like half, a little under half full. So I haven't been drinking as much as I thought I would. I usually try to finish this glass and some of my water during stream, but not going so well. Everybody hydrate. How's your weekend? What were you up to? Did a lot of cleaning this weekend, I think. A lot of chores. One or more bots have completed deliveries and are now available. Lovely.
Good work. New order available. Please access.
Playing Assassin's Creed? That sounds fun. I want to play an Assassin's Creed game. This is... What's the new thing? I want to build it. But I have a truck. Do I really need to build it now? Let's see. See if we can make any deliveries. I don't want to go to the Elder. You can go here. Go ahead, bot. I think I need to go to the distribution... This one. South Knot City. Recover... I can do this. Let's do this first. Oh, I can't this many things, but it's fine. Play them all, but I haven't beaten Unity, Rogue, this one. Are my favorite games. They look really fun. I want to play them one day. Which one do you recommend me playing first? I kind of don't really... Oh. Please, thank you for the follow. Welcome. I don't really care about following the order. I do care about like if it looks good. I suppose I would like to play it in order, but like if I can skip some, I would like to. Which would you recommend playing first?
weapons restrictions lifted.
We gotta go here. Okay. Hold on. Where are we going? Here. Medals. Hello, hello, how are you? Take this. Put it in here. Get in my truck. Never mind that my truck is like closed in the back. However, he's putting it in there. Who knows?
Right on.
Right on. There's a way this way, right? Surely. Someone put a jump board here. I still got scanned. You know what? That's fine. We're gonna use my Bola gun. This one. Hey guys. Hey y'all. Don't ring the alarm. Don't alert the authorities. I'm here to rob you. Stop. Go to sleep. Someone yell. It was you, right? Yeah, it was you. Go to sleep. Alright, thing I need is in here, but there's also one right there. Assassin's Creed 2? Catch up on the first one easily enough and maybe go back to it later. I want one that has like really good graphics, like updated, up-to-date graphics. Put this, I guess, on my back. Oh gosh, that's heavy. Yeah, I can take that. I'll take this too. So many medals. Wait, I'm gonna get the truck. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get the truck. Actually love this. Wait, somebody see me? Somebody saw me. Fine. You can come for me. Where's the truck? The Ezio trilogy? That's how it's pronounced, right? I think I remember some bits of what that game's about. I think I tried to— oh, there's someone there. I think I tried to play it once. No, they're coming! The hacking alarm. It's fine. I'll take them all on. Never mind. They got my stuff. How'd they get so close? I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Jeebus, we stomped him. Ah! Ah! Where are they coming from? Go to sleep. Oh, that was right up the booty. I am not scared of you. Give me your medals. Stop scaring me! Stop scaring me, I'm innocent. I'm just robbing you. You guys act like I'm doing something horrible. Please. Please let me go. Metals onto truck. Truck. Does this need to be closer? I don't want to like run them over, you know? But like... Just right here. Did the alarm go down? Let me in. Origins is the Egyptian one. The story predates everything else, so you can just jump right in. I love lore. Maybe I actually should play it in order. To truck. Onto truck. Man, maybe I should be like raiding these mules' bases every time. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of material. Ah! Ah! Okay, wait. Wait. Where did you come from? Stop! Jeebus, I needed this. Go to sleep. Who are you people? Go to sleep. Where are you going? He took a detour. Are they waking up? Hey. Oh, this is a lot of stuff. Hold on. Just pick this up so that we're even. Yeah. Weight is perfectly distributed, I think. Oh god. Please. Yeah. We're going this way. Come on, Sam, for the bridges!
Fuck.
Hello then. How's your lunch? Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. How do I walk? Can I like crouch? Would that make it easier if I crouched? Get in the truck. Yeah! All these medals. Did I get everything? There was like a chip here. Pretty sure. Yeah, there was. Time to get that. Oh my goodness, I'm so heavy. Hold on. Put these medals in the truck. A bridge is getting built, not a bridge. A road is gonna get built. Watch. Yoink.
There we go.
It's walking weather. I wanna go for a walk. The first Assassin's Creed is my favorite. Oh man. Maybe I should just play all of it. Maybe I should just be a good gamer and actually play all of it. I remember playing the mobile version of the game. Not version, but like there was a mobile game where you could go and like assassinate people and I was like, this is so fun! And then I think it had also like a PvP in it. It was really fun.
Safe travels. Keep on keeping
I wanna play a legit version of the game. I think I tried and I got like so confused. But maybe if I do it for stream, I'll have more like motivation to actually do it. I'm here.
Okay, just a bit further now.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
Welcome.
I wanna go for a hike. I wanna walk around a city. I'm in the mood to like sightsee. So I really want to see like a really old city. Make a delivery. Oh. What's this? Right. All of that. I don't know, maybe it's
Hey, Sam.
this
Good to see
game
you.
that's making me want to go for a walk, but I want to go for a walk.
The legend does it again. Everything looks to be in perfect condition.
I also have
Thank you,
an
Sam.
Instagram with this channel name, and I was wondering what to upload for it. Maybe I should start making shorts and stuff. But if I were to go hiking and take videos and stuff, maybe I'll post it there too. Who knows? Yaiba Kusanagi. Jay approved it. It can now be used to temporarily disable sensor pulls. Wait, what? Already? We could already do that.
Always a pleasure, Sam.
Yay.
Good work.
With good motivation, Sam Porter Bridges is a walking hill.
Access delivery terminal for further information.
I have mail. Let's read it. Fan mail. I love receiving fan mail. Oh, there's also data. Let's do that first. Actually, we have a memory chip. Let's do that first. Delivery memory chip. I love our little purple glasses. We couldn't change the lens for it. Oh.
Let me guess. This is
Everybody,
for
hi,
Krakow,
Tree.
yes? No doubt she'll love it. But since this isn't the best time, I'll accept it on her behalf and pass it along when appropriate.
For who?
You know you're a lot nicer than people give you credit for.
I am. I really am. I want to never skip leg day like Sam Porter Bridges. It helps that he has like a power skeleton too. Little
Thank you
exoskeleton.
for your contribution.
For when your legs stop working, you can keep powering on. Data. Oh my gosh, isn't there like a horror story about that? It was like his suit was designed to make it so that he kept going. And so when he when he ran out of food, the suit started to like absorb parts of his body to keep him going. So it started to like eat the muscles in his legs, but it would compensate for it by like making him move, and then eventually his organs, and then the last thing to go were his eyeballs. Am I scaring you guys? It was like a story. I read it. I don't remember, but it was like I have to keep going even if there's not gonna be anything left of me when I get there. JK, never mind. I no longer want a power skeleton. There's a punishment in Warhammer with that? Oh my goodness. Bruh. Okay, memory chips. Eggshell carving. Oh, that's kind of cute. From a distance, it kind of looked creepy. Eggs are fragile things. Drop one and it will break in an instant. Sorry, need to burp. Need to burp again, wow. Eggshell carvings are delicate etchings made on the brittle surfaces of their shells. These carvings originated in ancient China, and their depictions of flowers and birds are believed to have been intended to celebrate births and weddings, at which they were given as gifts. They symbolize the fleeting fragility of life and the delicate miracle of birth, and even a legendary porter would need to exercise great care when carrying one. Please don't make me carry eggshells. I'm over here risking my life and the world. Because if I get eaten, then everybody else suffers. They're like, we really want you to get these eggshells. George Baton. A strange light at the incinerator. Wait, that's familiar. This is going to sound crazy, but you've got to believe me, Sam. So I was at the incinerator. They'd found a body near the waste station and it needed to be burned. Since we don't exactly have a team of corpse disposal guys on call, I was given the job. Oh gosh. I've been outside more than the other guys lately, so it makes sense. It wasn't like I could say no. Someone had to do it. Doesn't mean I wasn't scared shitless, though. I don't have dooms or anything, but you don't need special powers to know when a BT's caught your scent. And I could tell they weren't far behind. I just wanted to get the job done and come home, but then one of the popped out of nowhere and nearly gave me a heart attack. Somehow I made it into the incinerator without getting grabbed, and that's when things got really weird. I saw this glowing thing. This light, I guess? I wanted to take a closer look, but I wasn't about to take any chances. I had to get the hell out of there. I can't stop thinking about it now, though. You should check it out if you have the chance. Okay. Go to the incinerator for no reason? Sure. They see it as an honor to continue living and fighting forever, even if you lose everything and you're practically dead. Jeez. I think there was something similar in that show Smallville. Someone was compelled to play the piano until they die, even when their Ew. There was also another one that I read. It was like a fairy circle. It was like a trap. It's like off the beaten path. You'll hear music playing and you'll go there and you'll see people are dancing and stuff. But if you like fail your perception check or like wisdoms, I don't know, it's like a save. If you fail your save, you get pulled into the dance or whatever. And if you do pass your perception check, you get to see that the people who are dancing are like exhausted, or one of them's like almost dead, but they can't stop dancing and stuff. And it's like a fey trap that like that wants you to keep dancing with them forever. And like, yeah. Why are we talking about this? I'm scared. I think it was Lex Luthor that was cursed. Oh wow. Dang. He was cursed, forced to play the piano? What? Your partner Jay, the mists are clearing thanks to you. You're a good man, Sam. The data on this chip, eye-opening, like I figured it would be. I know our worlds were never meant to mix. Recall impaired. Probably an accident. An accident back in mine was the trigger, and then the Corellium did the rest. You know, I like the sound of Chiralium. I might make an OC with that name. But, back in mine, home sweet home, can't say we've got anything as crazy as Chiralium back home, but from what I've seen of yours, our tech is a step ahead. And you've earned another taste, Portino. Who's Portino? It'd be an honor for me to dance until I collapse, but I only know the Macarena. I upgraded your reverse strike with the chip data. Scan it. I think you'll dig it. This new and improved version's got better defense and can jump farther. I recall it the Yaiba Kusanagi. I also tricked out your compass. The sensor pole security system that mules and terrorists use are shit. Dog shit. But now you can use compass mode to short them out for a minute. When in range, just focus on one of the poles. Careful though. Shorting sensor poles using your compass burns through more battery than the other feature I added. Okay. Imagine getting cursed to Cha-Cha Slide. You just hear, you're out in the forest and you just hear, one hop this time. Slide to the left. Oh my gosh, and then there's like a cliff to your left. Actually, horrifying. Crisscross! And then it's like, everybody clap your hands. And then it just doesn't give you, it doesn't tell you to stop, you just keep clapping forever. Oh wait, was there any... At least that will be quicker and then Cha-Cha sliding until time. Just Cha-Cha slide right off the cliff. Did I miss a quest? Look at my gold leggings, guys. You like it? Deliveries! Oh. I mean... I think this is doable, especially with my... Especially with... Oh, there's PTs there. If we go here... I think it's doable. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, there's 9 stuff. Onto the truck. Was it just that one thing?
Unable to process order. Unable to process order. Please stand by until the problem can be rectified.
Oh, hi. Sam, Bridges, I presume?
Hi.
Sorry about that.
A person.
The system seems to be on the fritz. One of the packages wasn't processed properly and got left out of the order. It says here the client is Fragile herself. Someone double-tagged it so the system couldn't tell whether it's for Fragile Express or Bridges.
This guy looks familiar.
Anywho, really sorry for the whole.
I'm trying to like peek under his hat.
Careful. The contents are fragile. It's okay.
Okay. Thermonuclear weapon. So this girl is still sending weapons. I thought we were past this, Fragile. What? I thought we were past this. I want the thermonuclear weapon to be at the very bottom so it doesn't get attacked. Nope, it's okay. Yeah, sure. On tool rack is empty. Can I just drop it? Need another bola gun. Now we're good. We're good. Why are we carrying a thermonuclear weapon? Why is it red? Why is it red? Does it need to be carried by hand? It has a countdown timer. As soon as it will... What? If it's separated from Sam, it will be... Listen. It's not separated from me. Fragile? Fragile. Don't do this to me, Fragile.
Beginning scan.
You better heck not. What do you mean? It's like right there though, right? It's not gonna blow up. What's that sound? Every little casually straps a bomb to you. Hey, could you deliver this to me? It's a nuclear bomb. What do you mean? I think when the next Bridgerton show comes out, we should watch together, and we're only allowed to speak in Regency English. Sure. Should you like to watch Bridgerton? I would love to. I need to actually catch up or like finish. I haven't finished watching the Penelope's one. They were like, the rest of the show will come out eventually, and I was like, okay, and then I never continued it. I do not have the attention span. That's why I like Netflix to begin with, because they came out with all of the episodes and I can binge it all at once. But then
What can't you do?
But then they cut it up. And now I'm like, okay, well, that's where it ended. South Knot City. That's where we need to go, right? No, wait. Where are we going? Where are we going? It's raining. Had the most anticipation for this pairing because childhood best friends. Were they best friends? I don't remember anymore either. Man. Get it together, Ellie. I don't remember anything. No, let me go faster. Was the scanner thingy on the other bike the one that was updated? Stop! We're not doing that, okay? I don't know where we're going. Craftsman. No, I'm good. Who's the craftsman? Is it him? Craftsman's right there. Let's just do a good deed. Almost ruined truck. What do you mean? What do you mean my truck is almost ruined? Is this the craftsman? It is the craftsman. I'm doing good deed. I'm doing a good deed. I'm doing a good deed. Hey, it's not raining. See? See? On the inside, it's rusted.
Come on, let's roll.
But everything else looks fine. I don't get it. Hecking fragile, giving me a nuclear bomb. I thought you said you weren't doing this anymore. This is a trap. This probably isn't even from Fragile. It's likely from... what's his face? The guy with the mask, the crazy guy. The one that set her up. The paint job deceives you? I guess so. Deliver lost cargo. That's for here, right? No. I don't want to store these metals. They're mine forever. I'm using them permanently.
Delivering cargo.
Okay. You're welcome.
Hey, Sam. How are things? How you Bridges guys manage it, I'll never know.
I miss Matt Mercer. He loves me! Almost full stars. Hatch 15, Middle Knot City. Eh? You now have the owner's permission to rest in the shelter. Cool! You can eat here.
Just so you know, I've put something aside for you.
support!
Maybe you could use
Then
it more than
Horizon
me.
dropped a sub.
Go ahead and grab the
Forgot that Prime is gone now though.
Thank you for the 44 months. I love you. Wait. A star? What? Wait, I wasn't paying attention. What happened?
Seeing you in action gives me hope. Keep it up, Sam.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good work. New order available. Please
Oh
access the
boy,
local
I'm
terminal
feeling
for
that
further information.
oxytocin, serotonin thingy they're
Sam
talking
Fritz,
about.
You are incredible.
Thanks. Oh my goodness. Wait, what?
Weapons restrictions lifted.
I just saw something about an emergency delivery?
Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID.
What?
Clear. Weapons detected. All weapons will be locked.
Who's that other person there? There's like a hologram.
Welcome,
Who is it?
Sam Porter Bridges.
There's an emergency delivery. No. Well, I'm going there. I'm not going there. I'm going there. I may as well take it. Put it in the truck. Confirm. Guys, what if our truck breaks down? I don't get it. Our truck was like almost ready. So if I go into the room, is it gonna explode? Because it goes into my private locker. I gotta be really careful. I'm so scared now. Enjoy those emotes, by the way. Also, what do you think? should my emotes, if I were to make new ones, should they be of this model or the regular? Because I do intend on merging the two designs. How close is this one? I think my other one's a bit closer. I'll save the ceramics for the other one because that one's already done.
Gotta stretch my legs.
Stretch your legs, Sam Porter Bridges. Metals. Done? And I'll save the ceramics for the other one. Yay! Do you intend to keep your brown hair in the design merge? I have no idea. I'll probably have multiple. So, yes and no. Like, I'll have a toggle for pink. Depends on the day. Maybe you guys would even be able to, like, decide what color my hair is that day. Have, like, a whole Sleeping Beauty fairies moment where it's like, pink, no, blue, no, pink, no, blue, no, pink, no, blue. No, green. Oh, what was the other color? Was the other color green? Oh. I'm gonna be over. It's fine. I have anything less than 100. Just take it. It's fine. Oh, I think the other one was closer to being finished, huh? Oh well. Carried on back ceramics. Yeah, you can have this too. Need more ceramics. After all the curse talk earlier, I think you're dark sorceress. What? Are you talking about for Dark Souls? Like what my build would be? Let's make that points toggle so we can fight it. Yeah, so same mind, same brain, same thought process. Yep. I wanna go on the... Ah! Oh boy. I wanna go on the ramp. Yuck. It just looks so ridiculous.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges
Something
ID.
here.
Verifying ID.
Am I supposed to go in here? Same brain cell, yeah. If I were to start doing emotes again, should I take commissions too? But I need a business for that. So many things. Deliver lost cargo. No. Deliver requested cargo. Yes. Take it. Take it away.
So you made it?
I did.
Wow. I bet your body's aching after carrying all that.
No, I was in the truck. That's for Sawsome.
Well, take care of yourself.
I'm kind of hungry. Too early to be hungry, I think.
Order available. Please access delivery terminal for
Ellie with
further
bunny ears, pink
information.
hair, and dark sorceress outfit. Oh, make a sorceress outfit. That does interest me. Dare I deliver lost cargo? No. It's mine now. Can I recycle it and put it in here? I cannot. I can. It's mine now. Sorry. It no longer belongs to you. I think I was supposed to go in here. I'm kind of scared though. Because what if it explodes? What if it detonates? It's gonna go in my private locker. It technically still should count, right? I don't know where she wants me to deliver it. South Knot City. She wants it exactly there, not here. Distribution center south of Lake Knot City. All these cities are so similar named. Loving the purple fit on everything. Yeah! I was like, today is gonna be a purple everything kind of day. Man. I'm so scared to go in here. We're gonna save first. Because they were like, she's here. Smile. See if we explode. I just want to sleep, okay? I just want to take a shower, Fragile. Is that too much to ask? The moment it comes off, the whole site blows up.
Oh, hi. Sam Bridges, I presume? Says here the client is fragile herself.
This is a
Careful.
memory.
The contents are fragile.
Boom. Oh, it's him.
Higgs.
Oh no.
Sam, what's wrong?
Fragile. Son of a bitch, it was him.
What are you talking about?
The package I picked up for you, the one from Lake Knot.
Hold on, I wasn't expecting any package.
He said Fragile herself was the client. The system was down, so some Bridges delivery guy had to hand it over in person.
Who?
Look, the point is, it was Higgs.
Come on, I need to see it now.
It was a bomb. LOL. At least we're not at the city. Shouldn't we go somewhere far from where everybody else is?
It's a nuke! Not again. That bastards can't do this to me again. The timer's already started. we only have one option. Sam, we've got to get rid of it. Take it down to the crater next to South Knot. It's a tar pit, damn near bottomless. If we chuck it in there, we just might have a chance.
Sigh. A hacking nuke. Delivery! 23 minutes, that's plenty of time. I have time to build a bike. I don't even get to choose my fit.
Alright, Sam. I've added the location of the crater lake to your map.
Got
Get the
it.
nuke there ASAP and dispose of it.
Just on the slowest truck possible. This is the way, right? Where? Here. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, this way. Just hope these guys don't... Wait, so... If these mules guys gets nuked, there's no chance of their bodies going necro, right? Just casually nukes my enemies. No scan. You're joking. No scan. Ugh. Hey, y'all want a nuke? I'd happily give you guys a nuke. Where am I going? Right. No, just go straight. Smile. So we're gonna nuke a lake? Crater? How does one dispose of a nuke? I guess we'll see. Isn't there rain here too? Bruh. So if a ticking time bomb gets exposed to rain timefall, please don't do this to me. Please don't do this to me. I have a nuke. Ooh, ceramics. Does the timer go faster? Am I going the right way still? I am. Lots of stuff here for the cosplayer, if I wanted to get in their good graces. Come on. Gonna be a crater lake after that. It already is! Come on. Alright, lovely. We're here. Woo! Come on.
Sam, you're at the lake, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hurry up and get rid of that goddamn nuke.
That goddamn nuke. Can I put everything away? What am I carrying on my back? Right, auto range. so much stuff. Okay. Do I just do the otter swim thing? Throwing cargo. Oh right, I can throw cargo. I'm over here getting ready to swim. Cargo. Put this in my hand. Uh-huh. In my... Is he right-handed? Okay. Okay, now... Now what? Press V. I hope I threw it far away enough. I think we should leave! A deeper crater lake. Can't swim in tar, silly. You'll become Wait, I didn't know it was a tar lake. Interesting. Stare. Contemplate things.
Jesus, that was close. You saved the city and everyone in it. I love a lot more than I ever did.
Maybe there's no way of saving Middle Knot. But South Knot's still here. Because of me. And you.
Why are we giving her credit? After everything, he still accepted that package and was like, sure. She definitely would deliver nukes. Also, I know why she's so familiar. She's in Dune, Part 2. She's the Bene Gesserit that went to Fade Ratha.
By the time I realized what Higgs was planning, the nuke was already at the city gates. I followed the delivery truck and somehow managed to carry the bomb to safety.
The bomb.
But Higgs had been on to me from the start. He caught me red-handed outside the gates, nuke still cradled in my arms like a child. So, as punishment, he strips me down to nothing. And then he makes it rain.
You can just make it rain by pointing at the sky.
I got a proposition for you. Do you want to live out your days as damaged goods? Or would you rather take damage for the goods?
Get to the point.
All right. If all you want is to save yourself, you just have to jump. However, if you want to see this altruistic streak of yours through, then you'll have to carry my nuke to the bottomless pit and toss it in. Oh, sure, you'll be the city's savior. But you will have to walk naked through Timefall to do it.
Yeah.
Trade a lot of your time for a little
Sorry,
bit
there's
of
like
the
noisy
city's.
cars.
Hell, seems like a fair exchange to me.
See, the truth is, I don't much care for my face. That's why I hide it. Oh, but you... Ooh, you just love bad daddy was being...
Audio fix? Is it better?
Don't worry. I won't mess it up. See, I want your face
Is it
to
fixed?
be a kind of testament.
Why did you do it? Why did you betray me?
Thank you.
Because
I don't know when it's
completes me.
I don't know when it breaks.
Someone who doesn't need me to wear a mask. Oh. Word to the wise. Even if you do save South Knot, you'll always be the nut job who blew up Middle Knot. Oh, and that pretty face of yours will always be remembered as the face of a terrorist. They'll never stop hunting you. Believe me, I know. Oh, they can slap a
These
sticker
guys
on
have
you,
heavy
but you're
armor.
still gonna break in transit. Oh. So, what's it gonna be?
What's it gonna
I'll take the
be?
damage and the goods. I don't break that easy.
Well, good luck with that.
I'll take the damage. I don't break that easy. I'll take the damage and the goods. I don't break that easy.
It makes him look like a cobra. Go, go, go! Oh dang, the plants just grow and
I'm
die.
fragile, but I'm not that fragile.
Run, girl, run! You got 15 minutes! Dang. Oh, she was crying.
Well, there it is. You are a goddamn hero. You did the right thing.
Too difficult with no boots.
This belongs to you.
What's that? Wait, what is that?
I'm no hero, Sam. That choice I made, I've regretted it ever since.
Why?
All I had to do was jump, and I could have saved myself.
But instead, you saved a city. And more than that, you gave people hope.
Well, now there's only one person left for me to save. I'm gonna make Heats regret he ever crossed me.
By killing
Yeah, I'll
him.
help you.
Can't. He's way more powerful now than he was before. But you could take him. You could.
Why? How? What?
But promise me. Promise me you'll leave him alive.
Why?
There's something I want to ask him to his face.
I didn't think you were capable of torture.
Am now. And I want to know why he betrayed me.
Cause he's a nut job. You don't need to know why. Just kill him. Get it over with. This girl eats and every time we see her.
Do you want it?
Just take it. It's fine. Oh, oh, oh. Ah! Ew! Why does she care, right? Share a snack with your friend. Oh god, it takes so much to get it down.
Don't forget about the supply run to South Knot City.
Yeah. Ugh.
Outstanding, Sam. Now let's get your cargo to South Knot City and put those people on the network.
Yeah. That made me so squeamish. It's kind of gross. The crunching too, like, Where is the entrance? Right here, and then here. Is it this way? Ah. So she's done it before. That's why she was like, just take it to the lake, tar lake thing. That's why. Casually hands telekinetic room. Baldur's Gate 3 reference. I got it. We have new powers now. I'm not going the right way. So we have to go through there. You're joking. Can I stay in the... along the shore? There's like so many stuffs there. I'm scared. BB is enjoying the ride. I'm such a good driver, aren't I, BB?
Someone's happy.
Are we back on the network? Oh. No, I don't want music. Bruh. How come nobody's building these? I want that metals. Guess we can't avoid it.
My curiosity keeps me confused.
Was he trying to blow up this city?
But still I stand here on my own. With nothing left.
I suppose this is kind of peaceful. Kind of zen. I'll build these roads myself. No more. Pause music. End music. Ha! It's over. So these guys aren't connected to the chiral network. That's why it's taking up the battery. Got it.
All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Sam Porter Bridges. Alrighty. I have your medicine. Make delivery. Emergency provisions are here. Praise me. Give me likes.
Great to see you, man. You don't know how much we've been looking forward to this.
Everybody hydrate.
A lot of people hurting here. Gotta start with those who need it most. Given this quantity, everyone ought to get a share. We really appreciate it.
It's actually not that far. Especially if you go through the beach. Not the beach, but like along the lake. I won't break. Complete episode 3 fragile. Hey. Alright. Episode 4 now? They like me. They really like me. I need to do like a super fast delivery one of these days.
So is it true the chiral network is finally becoming a reality?
You wanna see my Cupid?
It really can. Feels like a dream almost. If it's not a dream, then yeah, we want to be part of it.
Join us. Join our little family. I wanna see what people built around here. Maybe the bridge is up too. Take your antihistamine so you're not crying, sobbing like a baby. I have a spot I don't have yet. Bruh. Are we in Texas? Is this Texas? A handgun. What? Assault rifle? Grenada. Interview data acquired. The situation after the first Death Stranding incident. No blue in the no blue in the inverted rainbow. Giant BTs. Giant BTs. I want to read that. This area is not connected to the chiral network. Yay!
I don't think we could have survived without outside assistance. The chiral network could make a huge difference. Make repairs more manageable. It could help us finally get back on our feet.
Yeah.
It's given us a gift more precious than you know. When we lost Middle Knot City, it felt like there'd be no end to the violence. I woke up every day thinking it might be our last. Yet, here we are. By the grace... Yeah, well...
Aww.
Let's just say I don't believe in miracles or luck. Hell no. I believe in people. And it was people that saved us. Just like you did today.
Hell yeah.
Now it's our
I
turn
can
to
respect
pick up
that.
the pieces and do the same for others. I'm sorry. I gotta get this to everyone. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Enough yapping.
Good work, Sam.
I'll see that your supplies are ready and waiting. I suppose I don't need to tell you to take care when you come fetch them.
What? Oh, these are all the new weapons? Exciting stuff. Assault rifle. Lethal anti-personnel weapon. Is that gonna be for Higgs's people? Kinda scary. Kinda scary, man. You want me to kill people?
Thanks, Sam. You've saved South Knot City and brought our people even closer together. You're halfway there.
I'm halfway there,
to making
guys.
us whole again. Listen, there's something I need to tell you.
Of course.
Sam, Amelie's connection just dropped. We've been routing her calls through the old system. Must be a problem with the lines. I'll look into it. Let's just hope it's nothing more serious.
Sam, I'm detecting a chiral spike.
Oh gosh.
Right in your vicinity.
Oh gosh.
These numbers are off the charts. This might explain the sudden service interruption.
Whatever's
Okay, boss
causing it
fight?
could pose a threat to the Knot cities. Get out there and investigate.
Boss fight? Should this be a problem for tomorrow? No, let's do it. Leave all my medals here. Let's go. Wait. Just gotta make sure. Handgun. Granadas? Lots of granadas. Lots of blood bags. I should probably take that one blood bag, huh? Assault rifle. Who am I assaulting? I'm gonna take that extra blood bag from my private locker. Just in case. Okay. Here we go.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
Let's check it out. Oh, alright. I should have saved. Huh? Oh no. He didn't like that I didn't deliver the nuke. Hush, BB, it's okay. Oh my gosh, whales! Uh-oh. Oh no! Yeah, if there's whales flying around, pretty sure we get abducted too. Man, maybe that should have been a problem for another day, 'cause... Ooh, ooh, ah. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ah. Let me at him. I'm ready to fight. Resume game. Oh, cutscene. I am hungry though. Are these people? Mads! It's Dad! That's my dad! What the hell? Okay, thanks for that. And that was the thing from the intro. Not the intro. When we first jumped off a cliff for science. Okay, so they're not alive. But... Got it. Got it. Right. Let's go. Hey man, I have your BB. Combat veteran, Mads Mikkelsen. Episode 4, Hunger. I hunger. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is this a flashback? What? Where's Where's my guns? I had... They're gone! Am I having a nightmare? Oh, these are mine. My cargo. Right. Uh-huh. Okay. Unlucky. Where are we going? Follow the road, I guess. Okay, wait. Rearrange everything, because why would I be running around inefficiently? Smile. Pretty sure I'm going the right way. Ah, darn. What? Am I supposed to be killing things? Because I'm not. That's a lot of blood bags they're giving me. Oh, yep. Just run. Oh god. Hey, baby. You're fine. It's all a dream. It's an illusion. Maybe let's not catch the next one, though. Let's not catch the next one. Okay. Our blood is like fine now. Am I carrying a bunch of useless blood bags now though? Uh-huh. Okay. We're fine. We're okay. Okay, here we go. I'm glad BB's thing didn't shatter from that. That doesn't look very comfortable, sir. Oh. How convenient. Does that hit the spot? No? Okay. Yeah, okay. One more. Oh. Listen, man. I'm just here to make a delivery. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay. Gotta fight back, Sam Porter Bridges. I know you likely won't want to. An assault rifle. I want to use the pistola. Where's the pistola? Oh, there. I can aim. My dear.
Who's that asshole anyway?
Yeah, who are you?
Where am I?
So many assault rifles. Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay, so then why are you making that my fault? Does that say shotgun? I don't want a shotgun.
Remember.
Do I have to find you?
Remember.
Where? Oh wait. Oh wait. Reload! What the heck? I like the handgun. That's not a cigarette, is it not? What was it? Don't ask me why I like to reload in between shots. Hey, another assault rifle. Getting heavier and heavier. Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot. Oh, I'm out! Okay, wait. Have to use this one. Come on! Oh, I can't crouch like that. What the hell?
Throwing fire, retreat.
I would like to heal now. Can I eat these? Nom 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 nom. That makes me heal, right? Ugh. Okay, hold on. Let's clean up our inventory. Drop this. Drop this. Put this on. You're here somewhere. Where?
We need reinforcements.
Was it this way?
Move, move.
So lost. I'm in the trenches. I don't know. Wait! Granada, 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 Granada. Fire in the hole! Who are you shooting at? Wait! Reload. Oh, wait, no, no, reload. Did my Granada not hit? Oh, wait. Why would you turn around?
Find a place to hide.
Find a place to hide. Granada, again.
Get! Fall back and hug it out.
Sorry, Dad. Just a game. It's just a game, Dad. It's just a game. Sorry, Dad. You okay? You okay, Dad? Oh, he's gone! Have I been lied to?
We need reinforcements.
That wasn't him.
Dad.
Drop. Mm. pick up more weapons? Oh my goodness, a whale. Oh, there's rifles here. I tried throwing the grenades, but it didn't do anything. Was I just missing this whole time? God. So, I gotta do better. Bruh. His voice lines are repeating. Am I just not finding the right spot to be in? Am I going in circles? Maybe. A shotgun. Man.
Maybe.
Why can't they pick up stuff, you know? I've been here. This is where I was.
Where am I?
I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Oh, they're shooting at me because I'm not in the trenches. Oh god! Okay. Sorry for falling. Is there anyone this way? Maybe it's okay! I meant to jump down there. I did. Don't light me up. Wait. Wait. Oh, behind me. Haha. Hey. BB's about to go Hema whatever. Come on. Stop falling off my... I don't have enough stuff. I mean, I have too much stuff. I guess I can drop one Granada. Ha! You're stressing me out. Yes, offload one blood bag. You're joking. Did more fall off? No. We're good.
Over here! Over here!
Over where? Don't light me up. That's not very nice. Sorry, I was looking around. I was looking around. I need more weapons. Is this the thing I need to follow? Shotguns? I don't want shotguns.
We need reinforcements!
Why did it sound like it was behind me? I just follow, right? You're leading me into a circle. I've been here already. Did he go into a circle? Don't open fire. I'm innocent. These are not meant for war. Oh god. I hate that I'm using a... Wait. Okay, shotgun time. Oh, it's him! Do it! I'm sorry, Dad! BB's like so stressed. Oh my goodness. Hey! Hey, Dad! You're okay. Oh my god, I'm so bloody. Oh no, BB! BB's watching! Sir, that BB was very stressed. Oh no. What's happening? A hug? Let him keep it. It's just a BB. That's a lot of damage. Okay, not bad. Wow. See, I got lost. I did a whole circle. Episode complete. That was a really quick episode. Poor Mads, poor BB.
Sam, do you read me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything okay?
Where am I?
Say again?
What happened to me?
The second you left the distribution center, the storm blinked out, just like that.
Time.
Intensity dropped almost as fast.
I got caught in the storm and I was in a war zone.
You been daydreaming, Sam? Comms were only down for a second.
No, it was much longer than that.
It was 11 minutes of my life.
Tried taking my BB.
If you say so.
If you say so.
Sam, it's been less than a minute since we last spoke.
That can't be right. I was there for hours, it felt like.
11 minutes. Let's not exaggerate.
Maybe you should rest a bit.
Yeah, let's go take a nap.
Coming to you.
It's a shame I can't meet you halfway.
Yeah, I know. Your kid, right?
Be careful, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to seeing you. It's been a while since I've had company.
Is she here? Do we get to see her in person? Jeebus were dirty. We have a lot of letters. Oh, a desperate plea for a second pizza pie.
Sam, proceed to Mama's lab. Mama was part of the Cupid R&D team. However, from the start, she had concerns about its long-term viability. Felt Cupids had fundamental flaws, which might explain the strange phenomenon you experienced and the spike in chiral density. You should pay her a visit. See what she has to say.
Got it. I will do that tomorrow. I'm gonna leave myself right here. Actually, right here. So I remember. But that is all for today. I really wanted to stream earlier so I could play for a little bit longer. But I ended up not. So maybe tomorrow if I wake up early again. I feel like we did a lot. There's a couple letters to read. I'll read that tomorrow as well. I'm very hungry. I hope you guys had fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? I'll have this VOD uploaded to YouTube in a few hours. I think that's about it. Yeah? We're in Texas. We're in like the halfway point in the story, I'm pretty sure. I wonder how many chapters there are. I'm not gonna look it up, but I do wonder how close we are to finishing. Yes, and then tomorrow we'll probably be streaming this again. I'm not sure when I'll stream Dune. Maybe Wednesday. We'll see. We'll see. I kind of want to wait because usually when games update, there's like a lot of bugs and stuff, so I kind of don't want to be there immediately when it launches. So yes, maybe Wednesday we'll play Dune. Look, it's like a little upside down heart. Wow. There's a spot here that I didn't get too. I don't know where. I got the timefall. I got the weather station and the cosplayer. But like it says there was like a spot here that I missed. I don't know where. We'll have to search for it. Alright. I hope you guys had fun. I love you.